I guess I just will address, having done a contract extension here for Moses, we're excited to get him signed up for another few years. Really pleased with, Moses as a person and as a player, and I think that extension we've done reflects that. From that point on, we're excited for him to have a good season and really looking forward to what he can do, not only this year, but for the length of the contract. So you guys, if questions in regard to this, I guess, or anything on the season?
Yeah, just with Moses in particular, where do you feel like you've seen him grow the most just in his time here these last few years?
Yeah, I think, first of all, he's a great kid. He means really well. He puts the time in. That's all kind of remained the same. That hasn't changed. That's who we drafted. But in terms of his growth, I think the biggest thing, and you really see it this preseason, is the work that he's put in has paid off in terms of the game slowing down for him. He's playing faster, yet the game is slower. And that's what you want to see in a young player in this league. And I think that's what we've seen sort of some over the first few years and then really over this summer and this preseason. So that's what I think really gets us excited about what this guy can become. We're seeing the right signs. He's making the right strides, and optimistic about him being a really good player in this league.
I asked Steve this yesterday, I think, and it's kind of following up on that. We hear a lot about Moses's work ethic, and as a player who hasn't seen as consistent of a role or playing time, can you kind of take us behind the curtain with said work ethic and just what he has shown you guys when he isn't, playing 20-plus minutes every single night?
Yeah, I think we love his approach. Not only does he work hard, but he's resilient, keeps coming back, doesn't get deterred if, has a tough night or doesn't play or all that. And that's part of what we factor in on these things and signing players to new deals. So, he's proven it in many ways, not only on the court but off. And I know he'll continue to do that. And that's just kind of the fabric of who he is as a person. So, we felt it warranted a contract extension.
Can I ask about Jonathan?
Sure,
just I guess where did those negotiations fall off? You guys didn't find an extension with Jonathan, and where do you sit with his future with the team now?
Yeah, I don't think much has changed in regard to our hopes for his future with the team. Sometimes these things get done, sometimes they don't. Don't really want to overreact either way, and so from that standpoint, really good communication and conversations over the course of the summer to get to where we got to. Didn't get a deal done. It's got to work for both sides. Totally reasonable. Saw some deals get done out there in the league. Some didn't. We'll have him as a restricted free agent this season, and I think the most important thing for JK is just to have a great year. I think that's what's best for him, the Warriors, the whole deal. So I think we're in great alignment and move forward and, hope to get something done in the offseason.
As far as the mentality and mindset for JK, there's, one way of thinking that he could be extra motivated, and there's another way of thinking that this could be in his head a little bit as far as getting the bigger contract. Where do you fall on that, and is there any concern about that being in the back of his mind at all?
Yeah, I think that approach is up to him. That's his call. But I think ultimately, like I said, the most important thing is he has a great season, and that should be his only focus. And that should be the focus whether we got to an extension with him or not. And so it's pretty simple and straightforward to me. His motivation shouldn't change. Now, how he gets there and what he thinks about and all that you'd have to ask him about that. But I think it's set up pretty well for him to have a terrific season, and that's really the main thing that matters.
And then after these last 3 weeks, 6 preseason games, how do you describe this team, and where does it maybe compare to how you were building it in the offseason and maybe your vision right now?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with the depth and the combination of depth and synergy. These guys are really playing well together on both ends. There's great unity, and I think sometimes when you have a bunch of guys that all feel like they can play in minutes and all that, it can get a little tough, but it's been nothing but positive this far. Let's see as this season begins what it's going to look like and what happens. But right now, I think we're in a great spot. Knock on wood, health-wise, we're good. We got a full complement of our roster, and the premise of this thing was built on depth, and that's what we're going for. So, so far, so good.
This might be getting a little ahead of things, but how long into the season do you kind of look at the group and just take it in as sample sizes before getting that construction mind going again and saying, as February approaches, these are things that we actually don't have as the season goes on, or we need to make adjustments? When does that start?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think we're constantly evaluating from game to game, week to week. It's already started, and it'll really start tomorrow when the season begins. Generally your first 20 games is a pretty good barometer for how the team's doing, which will be something to look at. But we also got to look at things individually, how guys are performing. So we'll be evaluating throughout, constantly have a pulse of this team, and we'll see how it goes.
What do you take away from just your childhood experiences or adolescence in Portland that you carry with you today?
Oh man, I love going back to Portland. Went to high school there, had great memories, awesome friends, and Portland's a unique place. It's beautiful, got a lot going on, and I love the basketball fan base there. Whether it's the Blazers or high school sports, college, just a cool place to go. Good restaurants. I love Portland. I wish I got there more often.
There's a pot belly right now.
Raymond, come on, man. You're the guy. You're the guy that goes to Sparrow in New York City for pizza. Come on, man.
I asked Steve this. What would you define a successful season for this year's team?
Great question. I think we're just so focused right now on the process, building this thing up and having a great year. And we know what that's going to feel like at the end, but anytime, you're competing for the Golden State Warriors and you're in the NBA, winning your last games is what you're going for. Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you guys out there.
When we were in Hawaii, you said that you were having a lot of conversations with Steph, just in terms of as you guys kind of play with an offense with more, set play calls and just making sure everyone's on the same page and needing to know what you have to do for the other guys. I guess from that point early in training camp to now the day before the game, where are those conversations at, but more so just the understanding of what needs to be done for this newer group to be cohesive?
Yeah, I think for me and him and DeAnthony as well, guys who handle the ball, we've kind of grown in our understanding of the new stuff Terry's putting in on offense, but also playing with Jonathan, playing with Wiggs, and guys who like shots in certain spots, playing with Buddy. I feel like conversations with Steph and with DeAnthony about those kind of things, as well as those players, understanding what they like. As a point guard, you're supposed to kind of know all those kind of things on the floor. And so for me, it was just the ability to catch up to that, because last year I played, a lot of off the ball with Chris here. And so now it was just kind of learning from Chris and Steph last year and implementing into my own kind of style. And I think for me, I have a pretty good understanding of, hey, if we haven't scored in a while, what can we get to that's going to get us a bucket?
Moses Moody was your guys' top scorer in preseason. How impressed were you with him, and how happy were you for his contract extension?
Yeah, as a teammate, as a friend, as a brother, you always want to see your peers succeed. That's people may not say it, but that's a part of the reason you play the game, is to help support you and your family. And so to see that for him, obviously his road has been a little up and down his first 3 years, but to have that extension, I know he's super happy, and I know us as a collective whole is super happy. But him in preseason, he knows what he's good at, right? He knows he's a scorer. He can defend multiple positions, so he doesn't ever get outside of his box. He knows what he's good at, and the thing about him is he's always so even killed, whether he's not playing or he's playing, and he's always ready for the moment. And I think that's kind of holding well, and that's, I think, part of the reason why he's got a contract extension.